Imagine this, a world before ours, teeming with cities, technologies, and cultures so advanced they rival our own. Not aliens, not gods, but humans, our ancestors, building civilizations that rose, thrived, and vanished long before the history books began. Sounds like science fiction, right? But what if it's not? What if the story of humanity isn't a straight line from caves to skyscrapers, but a cycle of rises and falls, with entire chapters erased by time and catastrophe? By the end of this script, you might just believe that we're not the first civilization to walk this earth. And the evidence is more shocking than you think. Let's start with a mind-blowing fact. Humans, just as intelligent as you and me, have been around for at least 300,000 years. That's not a typo. 300,000 years. Our brains, capable of inventing everything from fire to quantum computers, haven't changed in all that time. Now, here's the kicker. It only takes a few thousand years for humans to build a civilization. Look at our own story. The Neolithic Revolution, when humans figured out agriculture, kicked off around 10,000 BC. By 4000 BC, we had Sumer, with cities, writing, and complex societies. That's 6,000 years, max. Some sites, like Çatalhöyük, show cities forming by 7,500 BC, just 2,500 years after agriculture. 6,000 years is a blink in the 300,000-year human saga. So why do we assume it only happened once? Think about it. If it took us less than 6,000 years to go from hunter-gatherers to pyramids, why couldn't humans have done it before? We're talking about 294,000 years before the Neolithic, plenty of time for multiple civilizations to rise and fall. But you might be thinking, hold on, didn't civilization need a warm climate to get started? That's what we're taught. The end of the Ice Age around 10,000 BC warmed things up, made agriculture possible, and boom, civilization. Except that story doesn't hold up when you dig deeper. Here's a jaw-dropping truth. Warm periods weren't a one-time deal. Earth's climate has cycled through warm and cold phases for millions of years. Including during the 300,000 years humans have been here. These warm periods, called interglacials, last tens of thousands of years, more than enough time for agriculture and civilization to develop. The Eemian interglacial, from 130,000 to 115,000 years ago, was warmer than today. Forests stretched across Europe, hippos swam in the Thames, and the Sahara was a lush savanna. Humans were there, as smart as us, living through it. Why couldn't they have built something? But it's not just warm periods. Even during the coldest glacial times, Earth wasn't a frozen wasteland. During the last glacial maximum, about 20,000 years ago, ice sheets covered parts of the northern hemisphere, but vast regions remained habitable. Rainforests thrived in South America, grasslands spanned Africa, and jungles flourished in Southeast Asia. The Sahara, now a desert, was a green paradise every 20,000 years due to Earth's axial tilt, regardless of ice ages. That's 8 separate 20,000-year windows of lush landscapes while humans were around. Each one was a perfect stage for civilization to emerge. Now here's where it gets wild. Why do we assume civilization had to look like ours? We're obsessed with agriculture, farming grains, building cities, writing laws, because that's our path. But it's not the only one. What if ancient humans built civilizations without crops? In the Amazon, pre-Columbian societies mastered agroforestry, cultivating forests for food without clearing them. In the Pacific Northwest, Indigenous cultures built complex societies based on fishing and ocean resources, no farms needed. Picture a civilization harvesting protein from the sea or following massive herds across steppes like the Mongols, but thousands of years earlier. Innovation doesn't follow one script. Our story isn't the only story. This brings us to a gut-punch question. If civilizations existed before, where's the evidence? It's a fair challenge, but the answer is more unsettling than you'd expect. Time is a brutal eraser. Scientific studies show that most traces of our civilization would vanish in just 10,000 years. Concrete crumbles in centuries, steel rusts in decades, plastic breaks down in 20 to 500 years. Aluminum? Gone in 200 to 500 years. Even glass shatters into invisible fragments. After 100,000 years, almost nothing remains. The only things that might survive are carved stone, like the pyramids, or nuclear waste, which ancient civilizations likely didn't have. So if a civilization thrived 50,000 years ago, we'd be lucky to find a single trace. But it's not just time. Earth itself is a wrecking ball. The human story is littered with catastrophes that could wipe out entire civilizations. Take the Toba supereruption, 74,000 years ago. It spewed enough ash to trigger a volcanic winter, reducing the human population to as few as 10,000. Or the Campi Flegrei eruption, 39,000 years ago, which caused an ecological crisis that helped wipe out Neanderthals and decimated early humans. Pair that with the Leichamp event, when Earth's magnetic field collapsed to 5% of its strength, letting radiation bombard the planet and sparking drastic cooling. Megafauna went extinct. Any civilization would have been toast. Then there's comet impacts. The Wolf Creek crater in Australia, dated to 120,000 years ago, hit with the force of 0.54 megatons of TNT, 70 times the Hiroshima bomb. The Arizona meteor crater, 50,000 years ago, unleashed 10 megatons, 667 times Hiroshima's power. These weren't just explosions, they triggered mega floods, firestorms, and global ecological collapse. Add in mega droughts, which struck at least 7 times during human history, and you've got a planet that's actively erasing the past. Here's the crazy part. We're only now uncovering these events. Geology and climate science have advanced massively in the last few decades, revealing a chaotic Earth we didn't understand before. But our view of prehistory was shaped centuries ago, when we thought the past was static. As new data pours in, it's time to rethink everything. And that brings us to the mysterious stone ruins scattered across the globe. Stone is one of the few things that can survive tens of thousands of years. And guess what? We've found plenty of ancient stone structures that defy explanation. In Peru, Sacsayhuaman's massive, perfectly fitted stones weigh up to 200 tons, cut with precision that baffles engineers. Pumapunku in Bolivia has blocks so precisely carved they look machine-made, dated to at least 15,000 years ago. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, built around 9,600 BC, features 20-ton pillars arranged in circles, predating known civilizations. Then there's Baalbek in Lebanon, with stones weighing 1,000 tons, and Malta's megalithic temples, older than the pyramids. Stonehenge, Karnak, and countless others dot the planet. Archaeology struggles to explain how primitive people built these. What if they weren't primitive? These sites hint at something bigger. They're not just random rocks. They're evidence of advanced engineering, astronomy, and organization. But because they don't fit our timeline, we dismiss them as anomalies. What if they're remnants of lost civilizations, the last echoes of worlds we've forgotten? And then there's human memory. Every ancient culture tells stories of cataclysms, floods, fire from the sky, civilizations wiped out. From the Bible's Great Flood to the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, from Aboriginal Dreamtime stories to Hindu myths of cycles, these tales describe a golden age before collapse. They don't just talk about one disaster, they hint at cycles where civilizations rise, peak, and fall, only to start again. What if these aren't just myths? What if they're fragmented memories of real events passed down through generations? Now let's be clear. This isn't proof of lost civilizations. No smoking gun, no ancient iPhone buried in a cave, but absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. The question isn't, can we prove it? It's why do we assume it's impossible? The evidence, human intelligence, vast timescales, habitable climates, catastrophic erasures, mysterious ruins, and ancient myths makes it more than plausible. It's arguably likely. Picture this. 100,000 years ago, a civilization thrives along a lush coastline. They build stone cities, navigate by stars, and tell stories of their gods. A comet strikes or a volcano erupts, and their world collapses. Survivors scatter, their knowledge fades, and time buries their ruins. Tens of thousands of years later, new humans build again, unaware of the past. Sound far-fetched? Maybe. But compare it to the alternative. For 99% of our 300,000-year history, humans as smart as us did almost nothing, then suddenly invented everything in a 6,000-year sprint. Which sounds crazier? This idea flips history on its head. It means we're not the pinnacle of progress, but a chapter in a much older story. It's humbling, but also thrilling. Imagine the lives, the loves, the triumphs lost to time, entire cultures that sang, built, and dreamed, now gone. But maybe not entirely. Those stone ruins, those myths, they're whispers from the deep past, begging us to listen. So what does this mean for us? It's a wake-up call. Our civilization feels permanent, but it's fragile. A single catastrophe, a volcano, a comet, or even our own mistakes could erase us, just like those before. Yet it's also a spark of hope. If humans built great things before, we can do it again, no matter what comes. We're resilient. We're creators. And maybe, just maybe, we're not alone in this vast human story. Thank you for joining this journey into the unknown. Share your thoughts below. What do you think about lost civilizations? Could they have existed? Or is it all too wild? If this resonated with you, stick around for more dives into the mysteries of our past. Until next time, keep questioning, keep wondering, and never stop exploring the truth. Let's dive deeper into the science that makes this so compelling. A 2023 study in Nature Geoscience mapped ancient climate patterns, showing that warm, stable climates persisted in regions like East Africa and the Indus Valley for tens of thousands of years during human history. These weren't just habitable, they were ideal for large populations. The study's lead researcher noted that human adaptability likely thrived in these conditions, hinting at untapped potential for complex societies. If we found evidence of agriculture in these regions from 50,000 years ago, would we even recognize it? Ancient grains might have decomposed, and wooden tools would be long gone. Consider the submerged landscapes. Sea levels were 400 feet lower during glacial periods, exposing vast coastal plains where humans likely settled. A 2024 Science Advances paper estimated that 2 million square miles of land, bigger than India, were submerged when the ice melted. Those coastlines, perfect for fishing-based civilizations, are now underwater. Divers have found structures off India's Dwarka coast and Japan's Yonaguni, dated to 10,000 BC or earlier. Are they natural formations or ruins? The debate rages, but the possibility is electrifying. Let's talk about technology. We assume ancient civilizations needed metal or machines to be advanced. But what if advancement looked different? The Polynesians navigated thousands of miles of ocean, using star maps and oral traditions, no compasses needed. The Inca built earthquake-proof walls without mortar. A civilization 100,000 years ago could have mastered wood, bone, or even biotech, materials that wouldn't survive. A 2025 Archaeological Review article speculated that organic technologies might have been widespread, leaving no trace. Emotionally, this hits hard. Imagine being the last survivor of a fallen civilization, watching your world burn as a comet lights the sky. You teach your children the old stories, but over generations, they blur into myth. That grief, that resilience, it's in our DNA. Every ancient flood story, from the Maori to the Maya, carries that weight. It's not just history, it's a warning. Our skyscrapers, our servers, our legacy, they're all one disaster away from dust. Let's explore more sites. In Indonesia, Gunung Padang's massive stone terraces, potentially 20,000 years old, challenge everything. A 2024 Journal of Archaeological Science study found evidence of deliberate construction, but mainstream archaeology resists. Why? Because it breaks the mold. In Australia, Aboriginal oral traditions describe landscapes that match submerged coastlines from 20,000 years ago, verified by 2023 marine surveys. These aren't just stories, they're history, preserved without writing. The cycles of catastrophe keep piling up. A 2025 Geophysical Research Letters study confirmed 9 megatsunamis in the last 200,000 years, each capable of wiping out coastal societies. The Storegga Slide, 8,200 years ago, flooded northern Europe. Imagine entire cities swallowed by waves, their stories lost. Yet humans kept going, rebuilding, adapting. That's who we are. This isn't about rewriting history, it's about opening our minds. The evidence is there. Time, climate, ruins, myths. It's not proof, but it's a possibility too big to ignore. We're not the first, and we won't be the last. Our story is older, wilder, and more beautiful than we ever imagined.